Greetings and welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It is Saturday, May 31st, 2025, and on Saturday we talk about sports and hopefully a little bit of humor. Actually recording this later on Friday afternoon, May 30th, because I thought I'd give you a peek behind the scenes and what it's like to be preparing to dribble across the country. That's right. I just finished a 2-hour workout. And I dribble everywhere I go. So if you see me in London, Ontario, you'll know that I'm the guy that's planning to dribble across the country. It's for a good cause, of course. So yeah, just a couple of updates. First of all, so today, again, we're almost 2 years out, which is good because this takes a lot of planning, a lot of preparation. But I did about a 2-hour dribbling run today. I did a little bit of interval training as part of that as well, whereby I would run a little bit harder. And when we say a little bit harder, I'm talking about, faster than a normal jog, but far less than my old competitive self. But I was running these sort of tempo or up-tempo 6-minute per kilometer intervals. So I do a kilometer in 6 minutes. That translates roughly into a 4-hour 15-minute marathon or so. So not particularly fast, but just want to get the body used to running at dribbling and running at about 6 minutes per kilometer. I figured that would be a nice, easy pace if I could get the body accustomed to doing that. So that was the plan there. So, and just in general, what I've been doing is alternating harder days and easier days. So the longer days or the harder days are typically a minimum of 2 hours of running and dribbling at the same time. Again, various intervals, various speeds, sometimes just going for pure distance, sometimes walking a fair bit, quite honestly. And then the easy days are an hour or so to an hour and 15. So again, dribbling and running, run walking, taking it easy, letting things recover. And so the plan is to gradually build up the distance and the intensity and most importantly, the length of time. Because when I do this dribbling across Canada idea, I want to be able to do it comfortably. I want to be able to do well, basically the idea is to do a marathon a day until I cross all of Canada while dribbling. So the idea is to get comfortable running them in roughly 5 hours, if you will, for 42 kilometers. So that's the marathon distance, and not continually. I'll probably take a break or two, etc. We'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, yeah, the idea is to just gradually build up. So right now I'm feeling really good. What is today? Yeah, so last Sunday I did a 2.5 hour, almost a 2.5 hour run walk, half a marathon. So that felt pretty good. I mean, I was a little bit tired, obviously, at the end, but not too bad. So anyway, yeah, this is what I look like after a couple of hours of dribbling and running, and it's a bit warmer out today. We've had a lot of cooler weather. Today was a little bit more sunny, and I was sweating almost right away. So that's a good thing. So yeah, okay. And so in terms of the broader idea here, if you're not familiar with it, I'd like you to check out, I'll put a link into the announcement vlog. But the idea is that what we want to do is develop a supportive counseling system and resources for parents and families who are dealing with loved ones who are suffering from addictions, okay, opioid addictions, but other drug addictions as well. And so what I've learned over the years, and especially from my dear sister, is that there are a lot of supports directed at the children or the young adults or the addicts, whatever their age might be, but there aren't necessarily the similar kinds of supports for the families. And a lot of times families are left wondering what to do. And that applies both in terms of children who are in school and already dabbling in drugs or maybe getting hooked on drugs, as it were. Again, there aren't a lot of support systems for the families. There's a lot of interventions directed at the children, as there should be. But what about the families? And then similarly, for if you're a parent of an adult or a young adult, what do you do? How do you cope with the problems that you're encountering? How do you continue to have a relationship with the child or the young adult who's suffering from an addiction? There are so many different issues, which we'll delve into, and hopefully I'll get my sister and we'll talk about it one of these days. We'll do some much deeper dives in that regard. But for now, I just want to talk about this idea of trying to set up a foundation or a nonprofit, really, whereby the purpose of the organization will be to provide counseling services and other types of resources for the families who are trying to support or cope with loved ones who are suffering from addictions. So that's the gist of what we're going to be talking about or dealing with. A lot more details will be developed over the next year or two. I was talking with a good friend of mine, a social worker, a longtime professor, just one of the most outstanding people I know, a guy by the name of Dr. Rick Cernick. And so we've talked about some of the, laying the foundations for what this organization would look like. He's been working in the field of drug addictions and supports and social work, et cetera, for 40 years. So he's quite the expert. And then he has a number of colleagues and former students who work in the field as well. So we have a lot of great ideas in this regard, and we'll be developing them more formally. As I say, we're still 2 years out. But in the next year, we'll develop the foundations and the principles, and then the basic framework for what we'd like to launch as a pilot program here in London, Ontario. And then hopefully, if things go well and we get support and we figure out how to make things work in an efficient way and an effective way, then we'd like to be able to expand the program much further. All right, but you have to start somewhere. And then in 2 years' time, when I do the dribble across Canada, again, the whole purpose will be to raise funds for this newly established nonprofit organization, and all of our funds are going to be going towards providing the services and supporting the families who are, as I say, coping with, learning how to deal with loved ones who are suffering from addictions. Okay, so that's the gist of it. All right, and a little humor. I thought I'd throw a little bit of humor into this as well today. So I actually finally got to see what it's like to feel like, Canadian geese. And what do I mean by that? Well, those of you who live in Canada, you'll be quite familiar with this phenomenon. What happens is that, especially in the springtime, the geese have their goslings, and so you have these little families walking around. And what we always do is if the geese are crossing the road, especially with their goslings, with their little ones, we always stop our cars or bikes, whatever, and we wait until the geese walk across. Now, of course, they can fly. Well, maybe not the goslings yet, but they always choose to walk. And they're almost like obnoxious teenagers, Sorry, I don't mean to be dissing teenagers, but, the ones who could be adults who don't really care. They don't pay attention. They just sort of walk across at their own pace, even though there's tons of people waiting to turn. It's like you could speed it up a little bit. Anyway, we wait patiently until the geese get out of the way. Now, I have to confess, what I tend to do is I kind of roll the car up a little bit further, a little closer. So I just give them a little bit of a hint, a little bit of a nudge, not an actual nudge. The car would crush them. But that seems to work pretty well. So it speeds them up a little bit. So that's what I do. But a lot of people just sit and they just wait. And of course, it's pretty. It's beautiful. Oh, look at all the geese. Look at the goslings taking photos, etc. But it always holds up traffic, right? So I thought, geez, it must be a little bit, are they ever self-conscious? Well, guess what happened? Today, I'm dribbling along, and most of the time, I'm switching hands, I'm practicing, I have all these different patterns and little routines that I do. I'm going to have pretty good handles by the end of this, obviously. But yeah, I do all kinds of different things. But I try not to lose control of the dribble, right? So, and most times I'm fine. I'll be able to do the 2 hours and actually never lose control of the ball. But once in a while, you'll hit a funny incline, or you take your eye off, or you're not really paying attention, and it'll hit a bump, and ball will go a funny direction, or you'll hit just the side of a curb that you didn't notice. Well, that's what happened. Not today. This is a couple of days ago. But I had a perfect run and dribble. I'm right at the end, and as I'm coming up, I'm not more than a couple hundred meters from my house. And sort of wasn't really paying attention, and I'm dribbling up, and it's up a little bit of an incline, and there's a curb, and I unfortunately just caught the curb ever so gently with the ball, and it went flying out into the middle of the road. Now, the first instinct is to run after it like a small child, but I said, no, don't do that. There might be cars coming, and invariably there are. So I stopped, and sure enough, there were cars coming from both directions. Now my ball has gone across the road. It didn't actually hit a car, but it had gone across the road there, and it was sort of bouncing, almost like going back and forth a little bit. So, bless their hearts, everybody stopped. And I felt like the goose, you know, the Canadian, well, actually the gander, I guess would be more appropriate. And you know, I'm going out, and then everybody's waiting for me. They're like, oh, come on, dude, you know, come on, go get your ball. So I thought, oh, that's nice of them. So I ran out, grabbed my ball, ran to the other side now, which is now on my side of the, you know, and everybody was like very kind. I'm like waving, thank you so much. But yeah, I got that experience of what it's like to have all the traffic waiting for you. So yeah, I suspect that's going to happen a few times along the way. I'm going to try to minimize the number of turnovers and double dribbles and carrying the ball. And in fact, yeah, the idea is that in order for me to do this, I actually have to have a controlled dribble the whole way. So I can't just bounce it and let it bounce a few times. I have to actually, every time I'm dribbling, I have to bounce the ball with my hand, right or left hand. Okay. So that's some of the logistics. Anyway, there's a lot more to talk about down the road, but I just wanted to do this quick vlog, update you to let you know it's happening. I am training. I've been training for a couple of months now. On this Sunday, I'll probably do my first 3-hour dribble run, right? And again, this is working up to 5 hours. I'm anticipating having to spend about 5 hours a day doing this when I finally do the dribble across Canada. And again, to my knowledge, nobody's ever dribbled a basketball across Canada. So please support the cause. At least click and become a subscriber, even if you don't follow the rest of the vlogs that I'm doing. That would be fantastic, and get some other people to join in. And we'll build the momentum, and I'll tell you a lot more about the logistics and what you have to do to train for this sort of thing. And then ultimately also the framework of the organization that myself and some trusted friends and experts will be developing, again, to support families who are coping with loved ones who have addictions. All right, so that's the intention. That's what we're going to do. All right. Until next time, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives, nurture love in your hearts, and dole out hugs in abundance, especially to the odd old man you see dribbling along the side of the road. Give him a hug too, or at least give him a honk, give him a wave. And yeah, I hope to see you soon.